Hello and welcome to the Medill Sports NBA Finals Preview. I'm Jennifer Lee alongside Alan Suriel and Brent Schwartz. How are we doing, guys?
Doing great.
Feeling good.
Doing great.
All right, well, last night the Cleveland Cavaliers finished off the Boston Celtics to set up the trilogy we've all been waiting for. These two teams have a combined 24-1 record coming into the matchup. Alan, are the Warriors or the Cavs under more pressure to win this series?
That's easy. The Warriors are 100% under more pressure. Last year, let's think about it. They lose a 3-1 lead. They lose to LeBron James. It's the greatest regular season team in the world. That's one. The year before, they beat the Cavs, but that's without Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. If they lose this year, that 2015 finals win looks like a fluke, if you really think about it. And on top of that, they got Kevin Durant, which is a former MVP. They already have another former MVP in Steph Curry. They have two other All-Stars. You have to win. They have everything to lose in this one.
I'm going to spin a different angle on this. And if we're talking strictly Cavs-Warriors, I think the Warriors have more pressure than the Cavs, immensely more pressure. I think we can all agree with that. 73-win team, one of the greatest teams of all time. They had Kevin Durant. Warriors have more pressure than the Cavs. But who I think, a singular player, the player we all have talking about, is LeBron James. He has more pressure on himself than the Golden State Warriors have pressure. And I say this because we're living in the social media age, and 24/7, all anyone's been talking about and all that anyone is going to talk about for the next week is LeBron James versus Michael Jordan. The man still got something left to prove. And with the way Cleveland's played in this postseason, they've played really great, with the exception of 2 games in Boston. I think people would be surprised if the Warriors blew them out of the water. And I think Cleveland's in Golden State's head. I think there's a lot of pressure on the Warriors, but I think with the way Cleveland's been playing and what LeBron can still achieve, meaning with Michael Jordan, I think there's more pressure on LeBron than the Golden State Warriors.
And
Really
you would
do.
say that's a social media thing? I mean, what about the fact that he actually came out and said, I'm chasing a ghost, and when he went to Miami, he press conference, not 1, not 2, not 3. Is this really, how much of this is actually on him?
I don't think it's fair. It's not me saying this. It's what I think people think as a whole and NBA fans think. I do think that stuff added to it, but I think either way there was going to be pressure on it. People love to talk about these debates, the GOAT debate, the greatest of all time. And I think the fact that he's still chasing Jordan, he's not there yet, this is his chance. There's pressure. Beating this Warriors team again, you can't fall to 3-5 if you want to pass Jordan. Can't do it.
But why? But why do we have to compare? Why do we have to compare?
We love it.
LeBron James is an all-time great player to begin with. 3 championships, 3 Finals MVPs, 4 regular season MVPs. Is going to be top 5 in every major statistical category. He's already played over 50,000 minutes. What more do you want him to do, Brent? What more? Oh, he needs to win 2 more titles to be in Jordan's class. I don't want to hear. There's no pressure on the man. You want to know why? Because he feels like he has nothing left to prove to anyone.
Especially since
think
the
that's
one promise he
when-
made, he already fulfilled last year, is bringing a championship to Cleveland.
Exactly.
He did do that, and last year's was for Cleveland. Now it's just all about LeBron and passing
Honestly,
Jordan.
when he says that he has no more goals aside from a few personal ones, I believe him. I truly do believe him. I don't think he cares about what anyone else has to say.
I think there's more left to prove when it's talking about Jordan.
No,
and our
man.
producer, Rosie Langelo, has a segment for us later, so we don't want to get too much into it.
I'm
But he's
telling
got
you.
more left to prove. He does.
He has nothing left to prove.
I
He
don't
has
think
nothing
it's
left
fair.
Even
but
if he never reaches Jordan, he'll always be a top 3 no matter what.
he's 2 no matter what for me right now. But
I'm telling you, man, there's nothing left to prove for him.
he wants to pass
nothing left.
Jordan or get there. This is his chance.
All right, well, that great debate, stay tuned because we're about to get into it next. Welcome back. LeBron James just passed Michael Jordan as the NBA's all-time leading playoff scorer, and in less than a week, he'll be making his 7th straight finals appearance. Guys, what would another ring mean for the Kings' legacy? Would that be enough to put him over Jordan?
Guys, I have been hard on LeBron his entire career. Even when most people considered him the best in the last decade, the 2000s, I was still on Kobe because Kobe was winning titles. LeBron had a 3-year stretch where he lost to the Magic, the Celtics, and the Mavericks in the NBA Finals. He was the favorite in all 3. Didn't play up to his standards. So I failed to put him as the number 1 player even in the league at that point. That being said, what he's done recently in the last 3 years and the volume of stats that he's accumulated, if LeBron wins this finals over this Golden State Warriors team, I will put him neck and neck. I will have the conversation. I will have him tied with Michael Jordan as the greatest player of all time, with the inclination that more stats and more good years to come, that he'll eventually pass Jordan.
What if he never wins another
If he never wins
championship
again,
after
I
four
can't
rings
do that.
total?
As unfair. Oh, after this one?
Yeah, he wins this one. He's done at 4 rings. Is
If he
still
has
neck
a
and
couple
neck with
great
Jordan?
years of volume stats, maybe a couple finals appearances, I'd be willing to look into it, but that's something we look in later down the line. But as of now, if he wins this finals, I have him tied with Jordan, but he has to win this one. He can't have Jordan having double the finals as him, unfair as it is.
LeBron James. LeBron James he's the guy that we're going to compare to Michael Jordan, not Kobe Bryant,
There we go.
not the man. Kobe Bryant, the closest thing we've ever seen to Michael Jordan, is the second greatest player. LeBron James, sure, we'll put him third, but LeBron James still has a lot more to do. He needs to win at least 2 more championships, in my opinion. Maybe get another MVP, and actually beat a definitive great elite team like this Warriors team back to back. If he can do that and maybe win 1 more on top of it, then I'll consider putting him at number 2. But Mike, 6 for 6 in the finals, 5 MVPs, over 32,000 points. Come on. He's number 1 GOAT. He is transcendent. Transcendent. There's nobody who can touch Michael Jordan at number 1, in my opinion. There's no way.
I've always loved Kobe, and I actually rooted for him over LeBron, but after last year, LeBron can go no worse than number 2 all time on my rankings. No worse than number 2. At this point, he's just chasing Jordan. If he loses 4 straight finals, if he never plays another game, he's the second best player in NBA history. And at some point, when you're looking at this longevity of stats, he's going to have a lot more volume stats than Jordan. Like he's played 33 more postseason games, and that's how he passed him the other night in career points. But at some point, you got to look at this longevity, and it just adds to his legacy. He's never missed a postseason game. He's only 32 years old, and he already passed Jordan. This is his 4th finals appearance with the Cavs. He had 4 with the Heat. Jordan had Pippen, who went 55 and 27 without him.
Okay.
LeBron leaves the Heat. They go 37 and 45.
Where do you think Jordan could be had he not missed the year when his father died? Had he
Well,
not
we'll
gone to
never know. He
baseball?
could have won 2 more, and he could have won 8 in a row, and we'll never know that.
And we'll never know, but you also have to understand that LeBron James has Kyrie Irving, has Kevin Love, who played out of their minds in last year's finals.
Oh, that's true. And you have to have a great team to win.
You have to have a great team. He also had a future Hall of Famer in Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh when he was in Miami.
That's true.
So it's not just Jordan wasn't the only person that had a good sidekick. LeBron had 2 elite sidekicks both times. Actually, all 4 times when he won.
He's always had a sidekick.
I thought 3 times.
And I
sorry.
vilified him for going to Miami. I hated that just as much as a lot of people hate KD going to Golden State. But you look at Jordan, he went 1-9 in the postseason. He ran into some good teams, the Pistons, the Celtics. But
He ran
1-9
into-
in the postseason before Pippen came. So you need help. And
LeBron lost to the Magic.
that was bad. That was bad.
He lost to the Celtics when he gave up. Come on, man.
And I vilified him then.
Listen, after the 2011 finals, LeBron James can never be the greatest player of all time. After what he did in the finals in those 4 quarters, he can never be the greatest player of all time. And I'm being completely serious. There's nothing he can do at this
That's the
point
big stake.
for him to be the greatest of all time. He's a great player, an all-time player. But he can never be number 1 after what he did in that series. He averaged, 16 points per game? The best player in the league. 16 points per game. Come on, no.
Titles. I mean, if he
No.
gets to 6, even if he has 5 losses,
The
I
title,
don't know.
will that erase?
No.
That'll
That
erase
will, to
that.
me. 11 appearances and 6 wins? Yeah, come on.
Come
This
on.
is someone who has actively rooted against LeBron, I'll admit it.
Brent,
but
I'm sorry. It's just
I'm having an open
that
mind to it.
2011 series, that is the biggest black mark.
Huge stain, I agree, though. I agree.
Coming up, we take a closer look at the Golden State Warriors. Stay tuned. The Warriors broke out the brooms this postseason. They're the first team in the NBA to enter the finals with a perfect 12-0 record. We're joined now by our Warriors insider and superfan, Juliana Allegrati. Jules, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So after last year's final collapse, the Warriors went out in the offseason and they acquired Kevin Durant. We know this team is stacked. They have 3 All-NBA players, 4 NBA All-Stars. I mean, they're no joke. But Jules, what's one underrated aspect of this team?
I think an underrated aspect of the Golden State Warriors is just how motivated this team is to win. As we all know, they blew the 3-1 lead in the finals. That idea just festered with them all year long. They go out and get Kevin Durant. They're labeled as the supervillains. There's cupcake jokes. LeBron's got tombstone cookies handed out at his Halloween party. The Warriors are seeing all of this, and they're just adding it to their motivation to win. They want to prove people wrong. They want to prove that they have a killer instinct and that they can go out and defeat a team with the best player in the world.
To me, it's something that stands out with the Warriors amongst the four big shooters. Something that gets lost in transition with this team this year, not last year, is with Zaza and JaVale McGee. I think they're better equipped to handle Tristan Thompson this year, who just killed them on the offensive boards. Best offensive rebounder I've ever seen. And I think that's why this year's team actually is better than last year's team, which leads me to say, brace for it, guys. If the Warriors win this finals in 4 or 5 games in dominant fashion, this is the greatest team in NBA history. Don't make that face.
I have a feeling somebody's going to take offense to this one.
Greatest team in NBA history, better than the 86 Celtics, the Showtime Lakers, the 96 Bulls. The way this team is playing, 12-0 heading into the finals, winning by 16 points per game, if they dominate the Cavs with LeBron, greatest team in NBA history.
Better than the 0-1 Lakers.
Better than the 0-1 Lakers?
Better than the 0-1 Lakers that went 15-1. Because these Warriors are going to lose a game. You better believe it that they're going to lose a
What if
game.
the Warriors just lose one, go 16-1?
They'll lose 2. They may even lose 3. Listen. None of these guys could have messed with Shaq and Kobe, especially in their prime. It took Allen Iverson to score 48 points in an ungodly game to win that, and they only won by 5. So I don't want to hear. Then they went on. They went 15-1. Shaq's the MVP, 33 points per game. Kobe averaged 24. There's nobody that's messing with them. There's nobody that's messing with that 0-1 team. Come on, Brent.
Well, I agree. It's hard to pin them against
Jules,
each
you know
other.
this. I know that these are. I know that these are your people, but come on.
I don't.
Draymond can't stop him.
I
JaVale can't stop him.
I know, but we can't jump in a time machine and go say Draymond go play Shaq in his prime. We just can't do that. So I find the argument to be a little foolish, Alan.
A little
not gonna lie
foolish.
to you. Yeah.
Okay, well, this is one thing that's not foolish.
Okay.
So, if the Warriors lose this year, they already lost last year, 7 games. Does it take away from that 2015 championship?
I think the only way you can look at it is winning a championship in the NBA is incredibly difficult, and a win is a win is a win. And if the Warriors go out and lose this series to the Cavs in the finals this year, I don't think it has no bearing on the 2015 championship. We can play the ifs and buts game. If the Cavs are healthy in 2015, if Kevin Love and Kyrie are playing, if Draymond doesn't get suspended in 16, if Andrew Bogut is healthy, maybe the Cavs don't win. But it has no bearing. This finals has no bearing whatsoever on how we look at that 2015 championship.
And one last other thing I wanted to throw in there. Looking at the other side of that, if they end up winning in dominant fashion, I think this is the greatest 3-year run by a team in NBA history, but we won't get into that.
Some bold statements being
Greatest
made
3-year.
here. All right, well, we'll be right back as these guys get ready to make their picks. Welcome back. We're less than a week away from the rubber match in the Cavs-Warriors trilogy. Alan, what's your prediction here?
I was looking at the way the teams were playing, and there were points where neither team, like they were winning, but they weren't playing as great. But I'm thinking I'm gonna go with LeBron James and the Cavaliers. Those guys just have a mental edge that I feel no one has. LeBron James is just too much for Kevin Durant, and I've always thought that. So if it goes 7 games, Cavaliers win that game. They're just too experienced. LeBron James is the best player in the world. You have Kyrie, who's the best closer in the game right now. Going with the Cavs.
That's in 7 games, though. What if it finishes at 6? Are you saying?
You know what? I'll still go Cavs in that one. But it doesn't matter. LeBron James and Kyrie Irving and even Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson, the guys are just too good. They're just too connected. I understand their defense is a little suspect. But when it's time to put it together, Brent, they can get it together.
First of all, guys, a lot at stake here, obviously. I don't think we've ever seen a finals with a build-up that's about to happen for this next week quite like this. But initially, coming into the postseason, I was going Warriors in 5. I thought they were too good. Steph is on a tear. I agree the Cavaliers have the mental edge. You look at what they did last year in the finals, and they came back from double digits. Was that game in Golden State on Christmas Day this year?
Yep.
It was a huge comeback. So the Cavs are the mental edge. I think they are in the Warriors' heads a little bit. But with the way Steph Curry is playing, the way these guys are shooting, I watched in the Cleveland-Boston series, people were open all game for the Celtics. And Marcus Smart, these guys weren't hitting. They do that against Golden State, and the best shooter of all time with Klay Thompson, with Kevin Durant there, they're going to be in trouble. But the way the Cavs are playing has really made me waver on my bet. I think it's going to be one of the greatest all-time series, maybe even better than last year. And I'm going to go the Warriors in 7.
Well, I guess we're going to have to find out which one of you is correct, but I
2
do
weeks.
have to ask, this is the third time we're all excited for the trilogy, but is it getting old? After this, will it be old if we see these same 2 teams in the finals again?
I think it'll be older than it is now. I think it's still at a heightened excitement right now. But no, I think, especially if it ends up being a series as I just said it, or as he said it, a 7-game series, I think it's just going to keep adding until someone comes in and shows that they can match with these teams. Maybe the Spurs get Chris Paul or Derrick Rose. Maybe the Celtics end up trading for Paul George. This is going to keep happening, and I'm okay with it. I don't know about everyone else, but I'm okay with it.
You know, in the 80s, we saw a lot of, well, we didn't see because obviously I was born in the 80s, but people saw a lot of teams, like the same teams over and over in the finals, and it wasn't bad for the league. It was great. You had Magic Johnson, you had Larry Bird, you had Isaiah Thomas. So I don't know why we see it as such a problem. We literally have 3 of the best 5 players in the league in the finals for 3 straight years.
I agree.
How much more do we want?
But the Celtics-Lakers rivalry was never 3 in a row. This is the first time in NBA history that it's
But it's good.
3 in a row.
We need a tiebreaker.
But even after such an underwhelming
series.
playoffs, I mean, basically, if this happens next year, is there any point in watching the regular season? Is there any point in watching the playoffs?
Less of a
until
point.
the finals?
Less of a point, but I mean, I think the build-up, the slow, ugly build-up to what we're about to see is good. It's going to be all worth it in 2 weeks.
It really.
I think it will be.
It's good for the game. The ratings are going to go up. The legacies are on the line. It's going to be great.
Never seen anything like it. It's going to be great.
All right, well, that will conclude our NBA Finals preview. I'm Jennifer Lee alongside Brent Schwartz and Alan Suriel. Thanks for joining us.